Okay, so, our first review of the day is going to be for the film Juror Number 2. Juror Number 2 is the latest film directed by Clint Eastwood. He's directed many films before, is still directing movies, 94 years old, and then I think he said that this would be potentially his last movie, ever, so, this may be it for him, but you know how sometimes that goes, some people say, "Oh, yeah, this is my last thing ever," and they do it again, they do another movie or anything like that, so but we'll see, but for now, this is his last film, and this is starring Nicholas Hoult, and it's about a man who has jury duty. He's got jury duty. He is juror number 2, as the movie suggests there, and he's on trial, and then once he's kind of seeing the trial, he realizes, "Wait, something's not right. Something's going on." This trial kinda hits close to home for him, and he tries to kinda start either creates a moral dilemma, he knows that this guy is innocent, and he's like, "Well, do I kinda try to sabotage the case? I wanna get the guy free. How do I do that?" And it's kind of all this is this information is kind of divulging more and more, and stress is kinda get more and more to him of what is he gonna do, being the person there that knows that this man on trial is innocent, and everything kinda comes crashing down from that point. So I'm gonna pass around, get thoughts on it. Chris, what are your thoughts on Juror Number 2?
Yeah, I like this movie quite a bit. I looking at the trailer, it got me excited because it seemed like a really interesting, meaty story. And Clint Eastwood, even though he's been very much hit or miss over the last like 20 maybe years, maybe even longer in terms of directing, he can still put out some really good ones. Like Million Dollar Baby is great. I like Gran Torino a lot. American Sniper I think is pretty good. I never saw the Richard Jewell movie that he did, but I heard that one was pretty good as
Yeah,
well.
it's solid.
Yeah, but he's also had some clunkers like 15, 17 to Paris. Not very good. Hereafter, I thought was boring as shit. Jersey Boys is just inexplicable on so many levels. So yeah, I'm like, all right, this could go either way, but I'm still hoping it's one of his better ones. And then when they announced that, like, yeah, we're only putting this out in like 15 theaters, I think they said, across the country, and we're not screening it for critics, and we're not reporting the box office numbers. Part of me was thinking like, all right, so is this thing like a turkey? And then I remembered that it was David Zaslav making that decision, and I'm like, okay, never mind. That probably means this movie's actually really good. And thankfully, it is. It is really good. It's the best he's done in a while. It's probably my favorite thing he's done since American Sniper, at the very least. And yeah, I think he is able to get some really strong performances out of everybody, particularly Holt as the lead. Like he has to do a lot in this movie, which I'm sure we'll get into in a bit. And he does a great job. And also it's just his filmmaking, it's like it's not particularly flashy, but at the same time, it doesn't really have to be for this particular story. Like it's very workmanlike, but in a positive way, where it feels like like you're in the hands of someone who is capable and can deliver. And thankfully he does deliver here.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree there. Clint Eastwood, you mentioned his other movies there, like American Sniper and Sully and Richard Jewell, with some of just more his more recent films that he's done. And like you said, so it's a mixed bag of things that that he's done. Sometimes he can hit it, sometimes it can be a clunker. It's just kind of on par, putting out as many movies as he does, and then just yeah, I mean, it's like same thing like Ridley Scott, just putting out, a bunch of movies. Sometimes some's gonna hit, some's not. And I think this one does hit. I think this one is pretty good. Nicholas Hoult is having a great year between this and then also with Nosferatu. Um, he's really fantastic here and what he has to do. And you can just constantly see what he's thinking through his face, which I think is very good. And, the constant dilemma that he's being faced with and what decisions he's going to make of trying to do his best there to kind of work it out. And even though that, it's not going to be a pleasant solution to this, like there's no easy way out of this. And you also got a great supporting cast with this. Tony Collette is the prosecutor for the case. She's always fantastic in everything she's in. You got J.K. Simmons, who's also a very reliable actor. And then the scenes with the actual juror members there is also very entertaining to see them kind of all discuss the case and kind of going back and forth. I know I've never been in jury. Have you ever done jury duty before?
No, thankfully, not yet. I'm sure I'll get called for it eventually, but not yet. Not so far.
Okay, I've been called for it, but I moved states by the time that I got the call to do jury duty, so I've never done jury duty before. Um, you know, how would you compare kind of the scenes they deal with as far as the courtroom scenes and then the juror scenes where they're all deliberating? How would you compare that to maybe other movies you've seen about kind of similar subjects in this manner?
Um, the biggest comparison that I know people are going to make and have made, I think, right so far is 12 Angry Men, which I think for a lot of people is like sort of the definitive movie about sort of like the definitive courtroom drama, definitive movie about a jury trying to figure out what decision they should all come to regarding the particular case that they've been assigned. And while I won't say it's at that level because I think that movie is just so tight. Like, I feel like it's ultimately it's tighter than this movie, mostly because it doesn't have as many threads it needs to juggle, and so it's allowed to be sort of get to the point a lot faster. And this doesn't have quite that same pep, but at the same time, I do think it does a great job of milking the drama out of those scenes, particularly when you know like what Holt is thinking in his mind, what he's trying to do, and he's trying to figure out like, all right, how can I work this out to where like I get off scot free, but maybe I can also like help this innocent guy get out of trouble, and how can I like sort of goad these people into going along with what I want to do, and sort of the different conflicting ideologies and thoughts that all of these members of the jury have with each other, and particularly the scenes between him and J.K. Simmons and where that ends up eventually leading, I think are really, really strong.
Yeah, you mentioned Clint Eastwood's direction in this, describing as kind of workmanlike there. I mean, it's nothing too flashy with this movie. It's a good drama, good legal drama there that you have. The courtroom scene, there's no super flashy thing any going there, but it's just really a movie about the dialogue, about the performances kind of going on here, about the situation that the characters are being put in, about how they kind of bounce off each other's, and mention the juror members there. Um, and yeah, he has a prominent kind of, relationship with J.K. Simmons, who's on the jury with him and who was a former detective. And yeah, he's like, yeah, there's something that's just not right about this case. So that adds another tension level of things there. Also Cedric Yarbrough, who's also in this, who people might know, he was in Reno 911. He's mostly a comedic actor. People know if it's comedic work. He provides a good, I think, turn here and some drama stuff there. And he's a guy that has a little bit of a kind of a bias towards the person being prosecuted here. Sometimes with the juror members, it's a little. I mean, you're only getting a little shot of these people. I mean, they only have a little dialogue here and there, but it's like, okay, we gotta, get people from kind of generic kind of backgrounds. Like you got the young kid who's kind of more of like the stoner kid or something like that, or the person that's really super into true crime, so they're on the jury. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's a little kind of generic, a little stereotypical with those kind of people there. But I still think that works well. But yeah, I mean, this is just a solid film here. How well it would have done if it had like a wider release, if it got released in theaters there and there. I think it would have done okay. I don't think it would have been like a huge, massive hit, but I don't think it would have had to be. The budget on this movie reportedly is like 35 million. Was the budget, so not a super huge budget on this.
Yeah, and I
Uh,
know Eastwood is still, I think, like a big draw, particularly with older audiences.
True. Yeah, yeah, a lot of older audiences. Yeah, so that name alone might have drawn more people to come out to the theater and go see it. But yeah, I mean, when you talk about his other kind of films that he's done, it's I think up there with one of the better ones that he's done in his career, as far as directing wise. I think it's up there with kind of one of the better ones. I think it's better than maybe Richard Jewell. There, which is more. I think was that the very last movie he did. I think was Richard Jewell.
No, he did that Cry Macho movie in between,
Oh,
which was not very good.
oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think I did see that one. Where he
Yeah,
was.
it's the one that went to Max during the pandemic.
Oh yeah, I did see that. Yeah, where he's fighting some guys and they end up losing to a chicken. Yeah, I did
Yeah,
see
he has to rescue his kid who's playing with the chicken, and at one point he's like, "You gotta learn to stop playing with your cock, kid."
that. Yeah, that one was, yeah, pretty weak. So yeah, I think he's solid. So if this is the last film for him, I think it's a good note to leave out on, if he does that. So yeah, what will be your final thoughts and rating for Juror number 2?
Uh, yeah, my final thoughts are this is some really good stuff. It's not I don't think it's gonna make my best of at the end of the year. I do think it does have to juggle a lot, which I think can sort of take a little while to really get into the groove of. And there's some members of the jury that you mentioned where it's like, that's a little cartoonish. And I do kind of wish there were more scenes with him and his wife, played by Zoe Deutch. I think the scenes that they do have together are great, and she also does a really good job. But I feel like they need a little more to really sort of drive home that, like, yeah, this guy, like, he feels like extra motivated to be like, I have got to get out of this like pickle that I am currently in. And I did want a little bit more to the wrap up. I feel like one or two more scenes could have done the trick. Not past the final scene, because I think they ended it on just the right note, but just a little more stuff before that I think could have really like pumped this up a little bit more for me. But as is, I think it really is worth checking out. Like I know it's on streaming, it's on Max right now, and I would say if you want to watch it, I absolutely would recommend checking it out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, if you're, I mean, looking for something to watch there, you've seen Nosferatu, you've seen all the big holiday movies already, or you just don't wanna spend all you can't, wanna go out and spend all that money on all these different movies coming out, and you're just like, "Okay, what's something good on streaming I can sit at home and watch?" I think Juror Number 2 is perfect for that to watch. I don't think it's boring at all. I think it's engaging. I think it's good entertaining film is there, and like you said, I mean, Nicholas Hoult, he's got a lot to lose. He's got the family, he's got a baby on the way, got this wife. It's like he's got a lot to lose there, and he's just trying to figure out like, damn, like what do I like? What do I do here? Like, he's trying to do the right thing, but then he's kind of like, I don't want to do too much of the right thing because then maybe it's going to put me in also a terrible situation. So yeah, I give this, I guess a strong tune in. As Chris was saying, would it be on my best of list for 2024? No, it wouldn't. I don't think it would be my best of or even honorable mention, but it would be just kind of on a movie that's like, hey, it's just a very good movie that came out this year. If I was making maybe a top 30 list, maybe it would make that top 20, top 30 list. But yeah. So you gave it a tune in. I give it a tune in as well. Two strong
Yes,
tune ins.
yeah. Also tune in.
So two strong tune ins for Juror number 2 on streaming on Max now.